Friends, good morning, and welcome to worship here on this beautiful Sunday morning from the historic sanctuary of the Fountain Street Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. My name is Nathan Dannison. I'm delighted to be welcoming you this morning, whether this is your first time or your 500th time. You are welcome here. Fountain Street Church is a fully affirming and LGBTQ welcoming congregation. Fountain Street is unaffiliated with any man-made creeds or tests. It is truly non-denominational. It is, in my opinion, the most reformed church that has ever existed. So, this I'm going to hear about that this week. So that's. This month in June, we're celebrating Pride and our participation in Grand Rapids Pride. We've got a table at Grand Rapids Pride on Saturday, June 21st, and we still need some volunteers to staff that table and answer questions about this place and let our light shine. We have a tent as well, so you will be in the shade as well. But if you can volunteer, there's a link to sign up in the chimes to volunteer for a shift, or you can talk to Chip after worship. I'm going to ask Chip to stand up and wave as well. And thank you, Chip, for organizing this. Thank you. So this morning, we're going to celebrate Flower Communion. It's the first time we've done this since it's been a very long time. In a minute, I know many of you have flowers. I'll invite you to bring them forward in a bit to give to the children to bring up here, and I'll explain how this goes. But Flower Communion is a very special part of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, and I want to thank Sharon Collins for suggesting this as a part of our Pride celebration. I also want to thank John Schweitzer for this beautiful tree that will be decorated here shortly. Thank you, John. Yep. A bit of the last remnants of the great dogwood branch from Mother's Day that continues to grace our sanctuary. And the giving tree. Yeah, that's right. And Angela Swan also for the beautiful pulpit decorations, too. So. A few more announcements about the children and our children's programming, especially our programming this summer. Our education director of the Character School, Katie Mitchell, has some incredible summer programming, some day camps, other programs that will be rolling out registration for kids this week. These are summer day camps that are geared towards sharing our Character School curriculum with a larger audience. And we will need support and volunteers for those summer kids programs. I'm excited to see this kicking off again as that program continues to grow. And a staffing change. By a vote of the governing board of the Fountain Street Church, our beloved organist Noah Smith has now been brought up to full-time to... Noah is going to have Director of Music Education added to his title, and he's going to lead some new children and youth music education programming at Fountain Street. He'll be developing and conducting the youth choir that is returning, facilitating a summer music camp, offering piano lessons, and introducing children to the miracle of Catherine the Great through the pipe organ encounter program. So I'm really stoked about that. That's a small but very important demographic that is in our community. And more information about these programs and opportunities to volunteer will also be coming out this week. And we have a need in our life to purchase a hearing loop device. This is a module for our audio-video, our AV system that will permit people who use hearing assistance to participate and be able to participate in services. But it's also, it's not just for worship. It's also we need it for our community outreach OWL education program, for the Our Whole Lives program. we need to be able to welcome kids in who use hearing assistance devices. If you can assist us financially in acquiring this device, please let me know, let the office know. There's a giving link in the chimes, but this is a very important part of our work together. So next week, next Sunday, it'll be Pentecost, but next Sunday is going to be our new member Sunday. So next Sunday in worship, we will have the book open. I know that we've got a backlog of folks who are ready to sign the book. If you're interested in membership at this church, there are no tests of faith. There are no creeds that you have to swear to. The requirement is simply that you speak to me, reach out to me, and have a conversation at some point. But the most important thing is that you sign the membership book and covenant with this movement, these people, this church that has stood like a rock in the heart of this city for over 150 years. No tests, but you are welcome to become a member. And then this is our last choir Sunday for the year. Oh, it's not? Oh, it's the second to last. Oh, God, I would have been so confused next week. So you have to come next week. That's wonderful. Okay. Well, wonderful. I still want applause for Dr. Emmanuel De Leon for this season. We'll revisit that next week as well. There's a great deal happening in the life of this church, and all of it is through the hard work and contributions of our members, our committees, our board members, and all of the people who contribute every week. And they deserve a moment of rest and peace and gratitude. Let's begin our worship service with a moment of peace. I'll offer a word of peace to you, and you can return it to me if you wish. And then I'll invite you to rise and greet each other with words of peace and joy. Friends, may peace be with you. With thy spirit. Amen. Let's go ahead and greet each other. You may be seated. Well, first, I want to invite all of the children of the church to come forward and join me up here on the steps. All of the children are invited forward at this time. And I want to invite any of the grown-ups who are helping this morning to come forward as well. We have a few grown-ups who are assisting our children. So first, the children and the grown-up helpers, and I'll sort of explain how this all works. Good morning. Good morning. This morning we are having what's called a flower ceremony. And I know that a lot of you already have your flowers, and we have some grown-ups to help us. This is an important kind of communion that's been happening for about 100 years in different churches all around the world. And what we do for this is in a minute, we're going to invite all of the people who have flowers out here to bring them forward and give them to the children. And then you will take their flowers up to the grown-ups up there, and we're going to put the flowers on the communion table and help John and Spalding decorate this beautiful tree with flowers, okay? And then at the end of the service, the ushers are going to help gather up the flowers and give them to the people as they're going home today, okay? So the reason that we do all of this is because we know how much we love to give each other flowers, right? Because flowers are all of the different colors of the rainbow. And just like us, different kinds of flowers with different gifts and different kinds of beauty in them. But the point is that when people take these flowers home with them, they'll be able to look at them this week and remember all their wonderful friends from church and keep us in mind. So here's how this is going to work. In just a second, I'm going to invite Noah to play a very special song by a man named Julian Rush. It's called In the Midst of New Dimensions. And while Noah's playing that song, right, listen to me. While Noah's playing that song, you're going to help me get the flowers. We're going to take them up to the grown-ups, okay? So the grown-ups are going to bring the flowers to you, and you're going to take them carefully up the steps. Okay, can you help me do that? Okay, and then at this time, I want to invite anyone who has brought flowers this morning to bring them forward to us. And you guys want to stand up and help me get these flowers, and get the flowers from the people and take them up to the communion table. Take them up the steps to the table. You can place that right on the communion table, yep. Get them. Can you grab those flowers? There you go, and take them up the steps. Okay. And then go down and get some more flowers. And I'm going to grab these. And we're going to start decorating the tree. All right, we're going to start decorating the tree. And you guys can come up and help decorate the tree. You want to help decorate the tree? Well, put some flowers on the tree. Wow, those are beautiful. Set them right up here. Look, yeah, you're doing good. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, there's some big holes.
All right. Keep coming. Any other grown-ups want to help decorate the tree? You can help decorate the tree. Good job. Yeah, take them up there. Good job. I've never done this before. Good job. Carefully up the steps. All right. When you're done, you can help decorate the tree. Put flowers on the tree. When the tree gets decorated, we'll put these on the... Good. Wow, it is working really beautiful. All right. All right, and then we could put the rest of these, spread them on the table, yep. Yeah, and we'll spread some flowers on the table. This is great. There you go. Yeah, well, I think so.
If it's full, if it's overflowing,
It's a good thing.
it's working.
I know it's working. All right. Okay, and when you're done, you can go ahead and join me up here. We're all going to gather behind the table for the blessing this morning. So go ahead and stand up and come and join me behind the table. Now let's put the rest of those flowers on the table. This is good. Oh, good job. And I invite the grown-up helpers to come behind the table as well. Okay. Here, come on up by the table. That is beautiful. All right, come on, kiddos, come to the table. You can bring those flowers with you. You can hang on to those. Come to the table, and let's go ahead and let's gather behind the table. And go ahead and let's just, if you want to, put a hand on the table. And for our blessing today, we'll place a hand on the table, and I'm going to speak the flower blessing that was written by a man named Norbert Chapek, who's very important, and he's the man that came up with this beautiful service of flowers. All right, listen to these words. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask your blessing on these messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversity of knowledge and gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to the holy will. May they remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing, and may we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts, and may we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all are needed to do thy work in the world. So may it be. All right, good job. Beautiful. Take a look at this. Look at what you did. This is incredible. Well done. Okay, you can follow the banner to character school, and let's thank our grown-up helpers. Good job. Yeah. And if you want, you can leave them. That's good. Yeah. And we'll give these out at the end of worship today. Of course you can. Yes.
That was great.
Thank you. Well done. Very well done.
Our reading today comes to us from the book of Ruth. In the Ancient of Days, when judges ruled the land, a woman named Naomi set out from the country of Moab in order to return to the land of her ancestors, to a village called Bethlehem in the land of Judah. She was accompanied by her 2 daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah. The journey was perilous, and the destination was uncertain. So Naomi commanded Ruth and Orpah to turn back and return to Moab, the land of their people. The women wept aloud. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and said goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said,
Do not press me to leave you, to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do thus to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you.
When Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her, and the 2 of them went on until they came to Bethlehem.
Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side who lived in Bethlehem, a prominent rich man whose name was Boaz. Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain behind someone in whose sight I may find favor." Naomi said to her, "Go, my daughter." So Ruth went and gleaned in the field behind the reapers. As it happened, she came to the part of the field belonging to the man Boaz, and working in the field without rest, she found favor in Boaz's sight.
Eventually, Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, I need to seek some security for you so that it may be well with you. You have met our kinsman Boaz. Tonight, he will be winnowing on the threshing floor. Wash and anoint yourself and put on your best clothes and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." Ruth said to Naomi, "All that you say, I will do."
Eventually, Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When they came together, the Lord made her conceive, and she bore a son. Then the women of Bethlehem said to Naomi,
"Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without next of kin, and may his name be renowned in Israel. This child shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has borne him."
Naomi took the child of Ruth and Boaz and laid him in her own bosom and became his nurse. The women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, the father of David.
Friends, let us take a moment in prayer and silence and meditation and reflect together on this reading we have heard. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful moment. And what a beautiful community we have found here in this place. For the month of June, I'll be offering a sermon series, 4 sermons that celebrate the queer heroes of the Bible. These are stories of LGBTQ resilience, celebrating the liberation narratives that can mend hearts and save lives. In the 17th century in England, during a time when people were dissenting against the Church of the King, families were fleeing away from state tyranny. People who would eventually be called the Mennonites During that time, one of the founders of my own tradition, a man named John Robinson, who was a preacher, he stood beside the sea in Delfshaven, and he addressed the pilgrims that were preparing to set forth on a ship called Speedwell. He would not be departing with them. But he said, quote, "If God reveals anything to you by any other instrument, be ready to receive it. For I am verily persuaded that the Lord hath more light and truth yet to break forth from God's holy word." More light and more truth in the word. There is liberation in this book. Today we call them liberation theologies. They arise from its pages in every generation without ceasing, in every single age. Before the Civil War in the United States, beneath the horrors of chattel slavery, enslaved black Americans secretly shared the story of Exodus, whispering about Moses and King Pharaoh and freedom. And then they planned their liberation. Later, brilliant women in this country and in the UK, first-wave feminists, read the story of Mary Magdalene and of the Samaritan woman, and they conspired toward suffrage and freedom. And black women preached about Esther, Rahab, and Hagar, and they worked holy emancipation. And in Latin America, in the 20th century, under the boot heel of fascist regimes, these puppet dictators installed by the American empire, the Mujeristas and the Sandinistas and the Cubanos found resistance stories in this book. And later still in Germany, confessing Christians in the concentration camps, all of them turn to this book and they find strategies and tactics and a still speaking voice. We call it in my tradition. Today, the great Palestinian leader and bishop and theologian Naim Atik draws on the story of Naboth's vineyard from 1 Kings in his work, A Palestinian Theology of Liberation. He uses that story to hear God's word speaking to the people of the West Bank and Gaza, living under Israeli occupation and the ongoing genocide and diaspora. And so today, queer Christians and preachers like myself, queer people read the powerful testimonies of same-gender love and covenant, and we see our own stories being told in the pages of the Holy Book. There is liberation and hope in here for queer people. We are written into the book of life. The oppressors, bigots, and homophobes try to prevent this. They use a few verses, a few prohibitive verses that they glean from this to support their toxic and alien theology. And we usually call these the clobber verses. The affirming passages, though, they overwhelm. They shine like the sun. So over the course of the last 2 decades of my work, I've decided not to waste my precious time refuting the clobber passages in some endless point-by-point rebuttal of their sophomoric reading, these ancient verses. It is my position that these misled Christians, they don't hate gay people because they woke up one day and read their Bibles. They do these things because they were taught to do them by someone in a position of authority. And that person turned to this book and with surgical precision excised a few verses out of context, poorly translated into modern English, and they threw the rest of the book away. The powerful said, here's a handful of verses. Here's your license to hate. There's no benefit, in my opinion, and using the same device to try to undo the work of the previous instructor, to excise a few verses. All of my scholarship, all of my Hebrew and Greek and history and archaeology and linguistics will not drive out hatred. Only love can drive out hate. And any of us who have known a wayward, hateful Christian who has at some point awoken to the way of Jesus and become a reconstructed Christian who's set aside their bigotry and homophobia, you know that it wasn't accomplished through careful examination of the translation of some inscrutable ancient word. It came from empathy. They met someone, or they fell in love with someone, or a member of their family came out of the closet, or a beloved friend, or someone else took the place in their life of that former toxic preacher. Some other preacher replaced the original instructor who sliced and diced this book into prohibitions against love. No, the way of liberation is the same as it has ever been. It's the same as when they wrote the blessed thing in the first place. Finding your liberation in this book is to enter into it as you would walk into a library. And then you find your people, and you find your story, and you find a still speaking voice calling you out of the cave or the closet or the tomb. And if you are watching this and you don't find that in your church, if you can't find liberation and love and acceptance in your church, just get the hell out of there. It is not a church. It is a school for bigotry. And it is not a Bible-based church. So many of these stories, I learned these stories from my elders, many of whom were scholars and theologians and teachers at the Chicago Theological Seminary. We didn't always learn them in the classroom. We learned them together after class in small groups or over a pint at the pub. We learned these stories from them. These were many of these great queer elders of my own journey have passed into the great cloud of witness. One of the icons of queer scholarship, people like Ted Jennings Jr. and Laurel Schneider and Scott Haldeman and Will Gaffney and Mark Jordan. Two of the stories I'll tell feature a marriage bond between same-gender couples. Two of them feature heartbreaking losses. One of them is a story of two transgender figures separated by a generation. All of them, though, each one of them has a great theme. They're stories about queer love in ancient times. All of them speak about adoption. Adoption that is blessed and celebrated and made holy by the Spirit of God. While we seek out individual stories of liberation and individual victories, we can also see something more. It's a greater theme, and we can call it the meta-narrative or the grand arc or some larger message that emerges from the juxtaposition of the stories. I believe that the meta-narrative in these stories is adoption, intentional family. The anthropologists call it fictive kinship, but it's family of choice. This great arc transgresses and transcends another form of kinship, an older way. It replaces the older way of blood kinship. This book, these stories, fell into a world obsessed with the ties of blood relations. Destruction and war and genocide and also patriarchy and misogyny, hoarding resources, blind hatred of other people, all based on the lie that we're bound by blood first and everything else comes after. The first story that we hear then today that we've just heard told is the ancient story of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth the Moabite and Naomi the Judahite. These two women are separated not only by their nationality, but also by their culture and their language and their religion, as we see, they're also separated by a generation. Naomi is older than Ruth. But there on that incredible, precious, terrifying day, in the sands of the desert that lies between Moab and Bethlehem, Ruth the Moabite turns to Naomi of Judah and she pronounces the vows of marriage. These same vows that are shared at wedding ceremonies today. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do thus to me and more as well, if even death parts me from you. Until death do we part. So there they are bound together, two women from different cultures, different tribes, different nationalities, different religions, and different generations. And then they together travel to the place of Naomi's people, hoping against hope that they're going to find a future together in this strange land. And so too then Ruth is an immigrant and a foreigner. And Naomi, now her wife, seeks out any kin that she may find. And who do they find? They find Boaz, a good man. I think Boaz he's like a co-conspirator in all of this. I really like Boaz. I didn't give him, he doesn't get a whole lot of lines. He's kind of like a Father Joseph figure in this story. He's a co-conspirator for their liberation. There's a lovely little turn in the story where Boaz uses the arcane legal system of the village to bring Ruth over into citizenship. And then it is with Boaz that Ruth the Moabite, Ruth the foreigner, becomes pregnant and gives birth to a baby boy. And then Ruth and Naomi then have a son. Listen to the women of the village. I am not changing a single word in this beautiful story. Listen to the women of Bethlehem. Listen to what they say when Ruth gives birth to this child. Quote, the women of Bethlehem said to Naomi, the women said to Naomi, this child shall be to you a restorer of life. End quote. You see, it's Naomi's child. Naomi, the wife of Ruth, the wife of the woman she married out in that terrible wilderness on the journey toward freedom. And then, quote, Naomi took the child from Ruth and laid him in her own bosom and became his nurse. And the women of the neighborhood said, a son has been born to Naomi. A son has been born to Naomi. Do you see what's happening here? In this most ancient of ancient stories, one of the oldest stories in this book, it sets carefully in these pages. It was set here carefully. It's waiting. It's waiting in here for the person who needs it. It's like the key to a jail cell. It's like the waiting to unlock the closet from the inside. Perhaps it's in here waiting for the eyes of two women, waiting for the open heart of an adoptive mother, or waiting for the heart of two lovers from different countries or nationalities or different religious backgrounds. Or maybe it's waiting for some future Boaz, some man who sees the love and desires to help them create family and conspires with them to find a way for them. And could be waiting for the eyes of a child, the little boy in the story, a boy with two mothers who's looking for his story in this book. And what becomes of that boy? What becomes of the child of Ruth and Naomi? The book says, they named him Obed, and he grew and became the father of Jesse, the father of David. That David. And if we take the book and we read from Obed and we turn the pages forward, we flip forward 1,000 years or more, 2,000 years, we turn forward through the generations until we arrive at another story of adoption, another story of a wandering immigrant couple a story of two people on a journey toward that same village. 28 generations later, the book says. 28 generations later, another strange couple traveled to Bethlehem to give birth to a child under impossible circumstances. And the book recounts the curious genealogy of that baby. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1, we read generations that came before Jesus, the son of Mary, wed to Joseph, who is not the child's father. But the book still lists the adoptive genealogy of Jesus. And so it lists Jesus' grandfather. It says Jacob, the father of Joseph, Mathan, the father of Jacob, Eliezer, the father of Mathan, and so on and so on, the father of the father of the writer lists father after father after father, as is the custom of the age, until we get back to King David, that grandchild of Obed. It says Jesse, the father of David, and there's the boy. It lists Obed, the father of Jesse, and we see in this genealogy of fathers the name of a mother. In this list of men, it says Matthew 1, verse 5 reads, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Ruth is named, and so is Obed in the genealogy of Jesus Christ as well. Perhaps Jesus had two fathers, but his 18 times great-grandfather, Obed, had two mothers. So then I will also speak next week of Jesus, of this strange circumstances, this strange boy who grew to be a powerful healer and a teacher, and who loved a man who died and lived again. And I'll tell you about Jesus, who spoke words like his great-great-grandmother Ruth, words of covenant promise. And I'll tell you about others in the lineage of Jesus. I'll tell you about this David, who is listed also here in Matthew, who forged a lifelong covenant with his husband Jonathan. Jonathan, who was a prince and married a shepherd boy named David. And so when Jonathan the prince died, Jonathan the heir to the throne dies. When Jonathan dies, his husband David ascends to the throne in his place. And I'll tell you about another of Jesus' ancestors, Joseph. That's the one of the coat of many colors. Joseph, whose precious queer heart was known by his own father Jacob. Jacob, who became Israel. Israel, who became the wife of God. And so maybe you can see my Jesus a little bit better now. Because my Jesus, my best beloved, he's not only a queer person. He's not only a queer person and hated for it, but he is descended from generations and generations of queer ancestors. A family tree that is not bound together by blood, because Jesus himself is not bound by blood to the man Joseph, who the book explains chooses Jesus to be his son. His genealogy is the story of intentional families, of covenants, of holy words and commitments whispered among the rocks of the wilderness. A story of love freely given. And why not? Because the God that is revealed by Jesus is unlike the others. The God described by Jesus is the God who chooses the powerless to be prophets, who chooses the poor to be rulers, the last to be first, who chooses the children to be wise, who chooses the foolish things of the world. This is a very queer God indeed. And looking into the book of this queer God and into the faces of my queer beloveds and looking into the mirror at my own reflection, I see reflected in these places the image of the very image of God and the stone that the builders rejected. A beautiful and queer image of a very beautiful and queer God. So let the powers and principalities rage and revile. Let the fundamentalists cling to their hateful ideologies and idolatries to condemn us. Let kings and tyrants seek to destroy us. And the light of the queer God, which is a riot of iridescence, the kaleidoscope light of the rainbow promise, handed down through this book from page to page, until it comes to rest in a manger in Bethlehem, The holy light burns in the heart of every single beloved queer child of God. Let it shine and let it burn on. The light shines and the darkness cannot overcome it. It cannot, no matter how it tries. This light will flicker on and on and on through the generations, just as it always has, until freedom. Amen.
Looking outside to find myself, I've been so alone. I've crossed the river of pain I felt, it led me far from home.
Broken into a million pieces, searching for a light,
A tiny spark that knows the way and reminds me there's beauty in knowing who I really am inside and growing into the me that doesn't need to hide. It's all about the journey, yes, choose the family by your side. It's here I know.
As the choir returns to their seat, I invite you now into a time of giving and support. The resources that you bring to this place sustain this community and support the work of social justice that we do here on this campus and throughout the community. At this time, I want to invite the ushers to come forward and receive your gifts and your offerings, and thank you. We sow these gifts like seeds into the good earth, that they may flourish and a garden of flowers spring forth from this place to bring hope and liberation to the generations to come. So may it be. And let us now join our voices together in singing our closing hymn. You may be seated. I want to invite two ushers to come forward at this time to gather up these flowers that they may be given to you as you leave this place. And also, as you go, please come forward and take flowers from this tree out into the world. Keep them, put them in your kitchen, put them on your windowsill, or give them to your neighbors and tell them that somebody at Fountain Street Church loves them. That's what they're for. Friends, you are the light of the rainbow. It shines out there in the world. It is the light of the generations. So go forth and seek that light in hope. The darkness cannot overcome it. Go forth in peace.